our whole societies are run on fiction.
So explain that. What do you mean by that?
So what I mean is that, like, let's just say I catch this thing called a virus. First of all, if we're to look into virology, and we don't have enough time today to go into it, but I recommend going into like Thomas Cowan's work or Dr. Andrew Kaufman, look into this field, or I can't remember the scientist from Germany, virologist. That field is going to be gone soon, because what we've learned is there actually is no such thing as a virus.
See,
even in plants.
I've heard of this.
We tell these stories all the time. I'm sure you've heard of this in your circles. There's just cellular debris. So if you look at the way that viruses are studied, it's completely in a totally different lane than what we think. We think we've discovered these particles that then need a host, and then they go in and they invade you and they take over. It's a story. Even if I'm a microbiologist looking under, and I've talked to microbiologists about this, looking into a microscope, I'm still looking at something that I don't really know what's going on. So all I can do is observe and create a story about it. Yeah. That's essentially what science is. Science is storytelling.
You think so deep about this? It is.
Yeah.
It is. By the way, we've had some people on. No, this is so good. Okay. Oh my God. So no, this is why we have a bunch of zombie movies.
Yes. Well, right, exactly. We just expect these. Yes, exactly.
No, to bring it full circle, but that was so good.
So then to bring it to the story.
Entropy is false.
Entropy is false. Syntropy is observable, and I don't ever have to prove it, because you can just go in your backyard and you can see it. You can actually sit with yourself in an illness and see that illness is composting. It's the same thing. It's the same process. It's just decomposition.
Cellular debris.
It's cellular debris that just needs to be broken down.
To cycle and be processed.
Yes.
That's the word process. You used it earlier. It's a
process and digest.
That's
what microbes do. They process and digest.
We should call this episode Process and Digest.
Process and digest, the human story. We need to just reprocess and digest it, right?
So good.
But so just to loop it back around, so syntropy is observable. We can see that it's true. But here's what's interesting about syntropy. In syntropy, there's an observable law. It says everything performs a function with purpose. So if you look in the human story, we've been driven by this illusion called entropy, right? So all we do is we try to avoid things, right? We try to prevent and avoid. Meanwhile, we don't really see prevention or avoidance in nature. Nature accepts, and nature just cycles, right?
Show up.
It does. So same thing with illness. If illness shows up, this is where humans get tripped up. We get caught in what I call a cause consciousness. We've got to find an it. We've got to blame a culprit. We have to find something that caused, because our way of relating it's so linear, and nature is not linear. How many lines do you really have out there beyond the ones that maybe you create in a loving way in one of your guilds, right? Everything is curved or spiraled.
This is why your kids are so sweet. Once you get that, it's
like annoyed at my conversations.
They're like, Mom, enough.
Yeah. Okay, Mom. Here she goes on the spiral thing again. But so in illness, we're trying to find an it, right? So germs are an easy culprit.
Right. What'd you call that? The cause?
The cause consciousness. So we've got to go, and it's like the Newtonian, okay, this causes that, right? The apple fell from the tree because gravity. Like, it's just a limited way of thinking, and it doesn't honor the wholeness of everything, and that there are always interactions happening, and sometimes creating conflict, and then that conflict resolves. Well, illness, if we're to look at it from a nature-based perspective, not even natural health, nature-based, truly nature-based,
okay,
it's part of the continuum of resolution. So you have to allow it. And it's scary when you're in it, right? Like, a lot of times it involves fire, fever, right? Fever's just fire. Just like right, some plants require fire. Some seeds require fire, right, to even germinate. So even the word germ, right, comes from germinate, which is to sprout.
Oh my goodness.
So it's not bad guy who invades you, right? That's not the etymology of the word germ. But we think that, and then we go, oh, but okay, fine. There are good germs and there are bad germs. Okay. No, there are not. There's no proof of that.
It's so much deeper than what we're putting together.
It's a relationship.
We're in the garden. It's existential.